Okay, and I'm live and very confused because second week in a row, sidebar did not run over, so I didn't have any buffer time whatsoever. How's everybody doing? What's everybody drinking? And I have to make a production out of what I'm drinking because I was shamed. I think it was my old drill sergeant. I'm not sure, but I was shamed, and it was very, very awful of you all. But I have changed up. I'm doing Guinness today. So no raging bitch today. I'm doing Guinness because I have to be hopefully brilliant because I have to fill in. I have a missing co-host, folks. Allison has this crazy thing called life, and life has gotten in the way for a little bit. So she will not be here throughout the month of August. I can't go into detail. She's got she has another day job. She has family things and just, a whole lot going on. So she will not be here. And to add to this, I also will not be here for 1 week or one News with Booze in August myself, because I am going to be out of town. I don't think I'll be able to do the show on the 18th because I'll be out of town. But I wanted to run it by everybody, and I want to know, what do you want? Do you want me to keep going with the show, filling in, or just take a summer, a month off like Ruben? Everybody let me know what you would like to do. But to fill in, I have with us a guest co-host. Now, this is News with Booze. I'm not really a journalist. A journalist isn't here. So we'll just focus on the booze. So I brought Rekieta. Nick,
hey,
how you doing?
What's up, buddy? I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I love your new picture that your wife got you, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Speaking of booze, it's out of focus, but that's all liquor bottles, and they're all from my personal collection. So it's
well, the question is on that: if you have enough booze, do they come into focus?
Yes, yeah. Or if I just raise the shutter on my camera, I could just focus here. I can do this. Look at this.
You have the cool Boku effect. I know how that works.
There you go. So I can turn that way down. So there it is in the background.
All right.
But yeah.
Let me solo you so we can see that. Yeah. That looks sharp.
Yeah.
Looks great. Get that. Oh, wait a minute. Is that a mixing board behind you? What kind of operation are you running?
No. That's those are paints.
Oh God, it looked like some crazy switchboard.
Yeah. I imported my setup from 1968, and I put a lot of beeps and boops into it. It's perfect.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it does. It looks like an old EQ.
I gotta turn this way back down.
Back to Boku. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, what's that shirt?
It's a cat, and it says Chonk.
Ah, that kind of reminds me of my orange one, who's 20 plus pounds.
Woo! It's a big boy.
And in the theme of it, I've got my, back when Game of Thrones was cool.
Yes, I have that shirt too. Actually, I have that glass.
Well, cheers, man.
Cheers to you.
And what are we having?
I have this Wiggle Pennsylvania rye. This was sent to me by a friend who must be somewhere in that area. I don't know, but a friend named Garrett. So very happy. It's a good whiskey. I'm a fan of it so far.
Yes, and that is a Tyrion quote, Ms. Be About. And somebody wants to hear what your trademark intro. What's your trademark intro?
Mine?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. That one, I guess.
I guess that's right. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I mean, obviously you have your drop, but you're not going to be doing the drop on here. So I was
right. Yeah, I can't say welcome to my show when I'm on someone else's show. So that'd be a little weird.
All right. So I don't know if you've seen News with Booze yet. We go through a bunch of stories. Sometimes we go through like one story and argue for a while.
Yeah,
it's a pretty freeform. There you go.
I'll play contrarian. I'll just argue with whatever you say.
Okay. I can make it very, very hard for you. Let me see. Short joke. Baby seal walks into a club.
Wrong. Seals don't have legs. Didn't walk anywhere.
There you go. Contrarian. Love it. And
it'll get old fast.
Yeah, but considering the source of that, no, it's perfectly fine. So we're going to open up with a very important story. This story is so relevant and so important that Snopes actually had to look into it because it's the genuine question of the day.
Yes.
It involves hygiene,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that hygiene is very, very important, especially for the leader of the free world
and for the elderly.
I
mean, this is important. As you get older, your immune system, though it has been exposed to many different things, it will eventually start to slow down. You have less potential countermeasures in your natural thing. You have maybe some vitamin deficiencies that have taken their toll, over the course of a long life. So hygiene becomes more and more important to protect you from bacterias and viral infections, etc.
Yes, and also cleanliness helps with any kind of mental impairments and things like that, which can happen, especially with infections and things that can cause all kinds of problems. So Snopes got involved, and we have the genuine question, and this is a different kind of fact check that I've seen from Snopes. Did Biden say my butt's been wiped?
My favorite is their conclusion.
Unproven.
They don't know. He might have.
Which I am telling you, as much as they carry water, that had to be the hardest thing in the world for them to write. It's like, it's I don't know. Folks, everybody, we got to judge for ourselves. It's a Laurel or Yanny, right? Let me see. I will have to do it within the same window to get my sound. Thank you, StreamYard. And
what? What must be 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 what?
You know what?
What must be what?
That would be a good ringtone.
He's so irritating.
I mean, don't think about it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It definitely is what he said. Because if Snopes doesn't know that's what he said, then he said it. And it's okay. Right? Like, he's got some osteoporosis. He might have some arthritis, not moving the same as before. So you got to have some help with some of these things. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame here.
I agree. But a lot of humor. So, okay, I'm going to go right to the chat. Ziggy Shrug, regular. And I mean, this literally just dropped. My wife is the library director at Langley, and she just got a notice from the command. Mask mandate indoors, la-di-da-di everybody.
Yep.
So, what are your thoughts? I mean, I mean, we're everybody's living their lives, right? They get the vaccines, life goes back to normal. Just keep jabbing and keep paying, and everything will be good, right?
Right. We've reached what the initial, at least, proclamations for relative herd immunity were. They've changed them a little bit after that, but we're doing pretty well with vaccines around the country. Lots of, especially in lots of urban areas. I mean, not Detroit though. Detroit, they still have half of people unvaccinated in that bastion of Trump supporting populace, but most places are actually, pushing over 70%. They've got a lot of stuff going on, and they haven't even really gotten to the kids yet. So they're doing pretty well. But no, I fully support this. Masks everywhere, because masks, for lack of a better word, are good.
Oh, yes. Well, we'll wear them till the end of time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what we should do. We should just,
folks, I got to get my demonetized masks merch out there. So
You're talking about demonetization. The first topic you pick from the audience is, what about those mask mandates? Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's just, hello, YouTube. Let me poke.
Yes, folks. So super chats are always welcome, obviously. And you know, I'm going to skip forward to another story on that along this line because, yeah, maybe that's poking the bear a little bit. So everybody should know about this. I found out there's a lot of people who watch me on Odyssey, and I put the stuff out there. I'm kind of putting stuff out there everywhere just because for some reason, I don't know, Valentine's Day and getting my channel deleted makes me slightly paranoid. I know that's completely unreasonable. I should not feel that way, but it worries me. So if anybody's interested, now it's kind of a weird situation. It's a Chrome plugin, but you can use the Brave browser or another Chromium variant if you don't want to give everything to Google. It is
Edge,
ironic,
for example. You could use
Yes.
the Edge browser from
Edge is
Microsoft.
actually a pretty good browser. Yeah.
Yeah.
From what I hear, except, I'm a good person who uses a Mac, not, and they don't
There
do
are
that.
no good people who use Macs.
Well, I have to make you feel comfortable then. Anyway, I had heard about this from people commenting on Odyssey. I looked, I was like, oh, there's people commenting on the videos. Maybe I should go look at this, but I guess this is a plugin and it's very, very cool in the sense that it will tell you, like, for example, you might see this on one of your videos or a site that you're visiting, and it says that this video has been removed. Because there was actually a video URL tied to it, if it's already been on Odyssey, the plugin will give a link. So when you land there, your plugin will say, hey, you can watch it over here. And it could be on either Odyssey or BitChute, Rumble. Well, here we go. YouTube and Dailymotion. That's who it's supporting right now.
God, Dailymotion is still around. That is
know.
so beyond
Bizarre.
me. I actually have a Dailymotion account.
Oh, well, I do too, but that was just to watch stuff. Because
I think I have like 3 uploads over there.
Really?
Yeah, it was at the beginning. I was mirroring to Dailymotion until I forgot that it existed.
Well, that works. That definitely works. So I don't know. I think this is a value, and that actually leads into another story that ties right with this. But I know everybody's shocked that YouTube removed the Project Veritas video where they had some CNN footage. CNN did a copyright claim to get the video pulled. So I'm sure it's a strike. Don't know. But either way, I'm just putting it out there that you may want to consider the plugin if you're using the browsers. And if you don't mind, I don't, spend a lot of time on Odyssey right now, but I know Nick is over there. I am there. Allison is also on Odyssey. And my videos automatically sync over there. And that's the main reason I'm on Odyssey, is if I don't have to think about it, it's going to get done. I'm also on Rumble, but I'm weeks behind all the time because I have to sit there and manually upload everything to Rumble. Odyssey, it's automatic. A tool like this, I think, is going to encourage even more people to be there for just this kind of thing here with this video. So consider looking me up over there. It's at Eric Hunley. So I'm pretty easy to find. And you're what, at Rekieta Law?
At Rekieta Law and at Rekieta Media and at Rekieta Law Live. All 3 of my channels are over there. Although the one minor beef I have with Odyssey is they will not take live streams over 2 hours yet.
Really?
So
yeah, that's crippling for you.
Yeah. So all of my short content is over there, and any shorter live streams that I do are, but that once they hit that 2 hour mark, it becomes a little much for them to process. But I am considering doing some Odyssey exclusive live streams, because I do have live streaming over there, but I haven't played around with it yet.
They don't have RTMP, which just drives me nuts.
What's RTMP?
That's where you can go to YouTube and Rumble or whatever at the same time. So I know Rockfin has RTMP. So you like Allison will, as an example, I'm broadcasting on both YouTube and Twitch
Sure.
with StreamYard. And that's using like the RTMP connection, whatever.
Mm.
Odyssey is like locals where you have to go direct. Now,
Gotcha.
I figured out that I think you can hack your way around it. I figured out how to screen share on locals by using OBS as a virtual camera. So
Yep.
I did the screen of my camera on the OBS and then spit that out as the upload single camera. So I have a feeling be a pain in my ass because I'm not, super familiar with it, but I guess I could theoretically do interviews in a similar manner that I would just have the full interview coming up and uploading as a single output virtual camera.
Yeah, it's kind of clunky. Any of the in-browser streamers are kind of clunky because of that right now. But you know what I just found out? Speaking of locals, which is, by the way, my favorite platform.
Yes. Unstructured.locals.com.
Or rekietalaw.locals.com. Yes. And I've been doing several little exclusive locals live streams over on my channel. I love it. I think it's great. Just sit down on my deck and talk with people. But the thing that I found out is Locals has a TV app on the Fire Stick now.
Oh, it is out on Fire. Okay, it's not out
Yes.
on Roku or Apple TV yet.
No, it's on Fire Stick, and I guess my channel's on it. I just found out today. They're like, by the way, we put your channel in the beta test for this, so you can actually watch my Locals content on your big screen TV with your Amazon Fire Stick. So that's pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, that is. Oh, by the way, I have to interrupt this broadcast.
Yes.
For and again, that drop was made by Tape Damage, whose real name I believe is James Esparza. I have to call him out so much. He was like, "Oh, maybe I should say my name." So it's actually called out. So I believe it's James Esparza. And please tell me I got it right. I have a terrible memory. My whiskey-soaked brain, I guess you would say, even though I don't drink whiskey.
You should.
Probably. And speaking of locals, I need to jump in my chat. I have this bad habit of being on a show and not keeping track of my chat here, my locals chat, my every other chat. And so I do have it open now.
Also, for those of you who wonder like why creators don't hop on like a ton of different things, like people ask me all the time, why aren't you on Rumble? Why aren't you on BitChute? Sure. The simple answer for both of those is BitChute and Rumble both take a ton of time for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people have good luck uploading to BitChute and syncing their channels. Mine never did. It never worked. It's not I'm not making a commentary on BitChute. I have other commentaries on them. You can find me arguing with them on Twitter from time to time. But that being said, every one of those things where it adds a ton of time to the post-production of a show is crazy. And that's the reason we don't, we like competitors to YouTube because we want more competition in the space. But at the same time, we don't just need a million competitors. We need the good one. We need the good competitor that will be there, because having like 10 chat windows open, it's impossible to manage. And you're always neglecting someone. I hated it. I used to multi-stream from YouTube and to Stream Me back before they got shut down for stealing all of their code. Good job, guys. But I used to multi-stream to them, and having both of the chats was a mess. And the Restream chat client that existed was absolute garbage and would just stop pulling from Stream Me because people could spam. Anyway, it's tough. That's why people try to pick one or two platforms and really focus on them.
All right. Super chat. Got to get the grift. And yellow again. When have I made it through a news with booze without turning yellow? I actually did, I think 2 weeks ago or something like that. And then the second it was over and I went to bed and all that, I saw that it had turned yellow afterward. So I was like, thank you, asses. So it's almost better that it does it right away. So I can at least go in and actually I need to do that. Go in and say, manual review, please.
Hold
And it's
on.
funny
Let me say a bunch of gamer words right after you click it. Click it, and then I'll start saying N-word, N-word, N-word.
Okay, PewDiePie. Give me a break now. Damn, buddy. Jeez. See, he really is like, Eric, I don't have a lot of time for this. I don't have time. And I'm like, I'm begging him. And he's like, okay, I'll come on. This once.
Nice channel you have there. Be a shame if someone came in and ruined it.
No doubt. Jeez, buddy. Wow. Well, it's friends like these. Okay. So while we're talking about ruining things, I'm going to ruin everybody's evening. And I'm probably over pronouncing ruin because I don't know if it's an Arizona thing. I've heard other people do it. I grew up saying rune. Now, and I didn't have that second part. And my wife made fun of me. So I hammer out the ruin now and probably overcompensate. But here I am saying it. So sorry for the overcompensation. And sorry for the depressing story here, but this guy's a legend. ZZ Top's a legendary band. Very, very sad to see Dusty Hill dying. Went out a great way, though. I mean, he went to sleep, didn't wake up. That's probably, about all that any of us can ask for.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You take that over any number of other alternatives.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But he will obviously be missed, and very, very sad loss. So I hate bringing up stories. I'd rather. I mean, it's like Larry Flint died, right before one of the shows. And it's like, okay, well, I can tell him, hey, Larry Flint died. That's curious, but somebody you kind of feel bad about is not cool. So now this story. This story is all over the map, and there's been more on it. Nick, I know you did a video on this story, and this is, of course, the Highland Park, and it's kind of funny because it's Highland Park in Dallas, Fort Worth area. I think there's also a Highland Park near Kansas City. Both, I think, are pretty moneyed areas.
It's also a beautiful Scotch brand, by the way. Highland Park, the 18-year, the 30-year, very, very good Scotches.
Well, there you go. Oh, holy cow. Chase Hughes is here. Thank you, sir. Now, I don't even know where to go with this. Okay, supposedly Dallas Justice Now, which is, I don't know if they're technically BLM or they're not BLM.
They're BLM allies of some
allies. Sort. Okay. Well, and I always want to be sort of correct about these things, or at least not completely wrong. There's a lot of loose affiliation, like saying that somebody is Antifa. Well, Antifa technically is not an organized thing. There's no centralized Antifa leadership that I know of.
Here,
like
I've got Dallas Justice Now on the, I've got it pulled up if you want to pop over to my screen for just a second.
Yeah, sure.
So here they are, Dallas Justice Now. Ignorance. Is that Don Cheadle?
It might be.
It's either Don Cheadle or Lori Lightfoot. I don't know. Ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have. James Baldwin. So they are a member-driven project of activists, researchers, and local leaders dedicated to making our city more just. So here you go. Accountability, struggle, whatever. This looks like a pretty new organization. Very new, actually. 2021, July. They started up.
Yeah, they just update the copyright on their page. So I don't know that.
So let's see. Well, those were the most recent articles they had.
Oh, okay. Well, not really sure. Okay. What they're asking, according to this, and because there's another release that I'll follow up with or whatever, but I actually kind of appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying what a lot of, shall we say, right wingers or conservatives or whomever like to mock and say, you're right. You are taking away your spot, professor, your spot, rich, white liberal parent or whatever, from the oppressed. You need to quit your job now. You need to step aside. And well, they're just kind of going on and saying, yeah, you need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, how
Don't
can
send
you
your kids to a good school.
How can you be for equality in your own workplace if you, as a white person, are taking the spot that could be filled with someone who is of a more diverse or of a different diversity stripe? And if you help lower the percentage of white hetero workers in your workplace, then someone else who is either non-white, non-hetero, or preferably both can come in and fill that spot and help even out that pie chart.
Right. So back to Lori Lightfoot. She can be both, right? And fill the mayor's spot.
Exactly. Exactly. My favorite part of this is that so this is targeted not just to people in Dallas. It's not like they went around and papered a community in Dallas. They went to Highland Park, one of the wealthiest areas of Dallas, and then they identified Democrats in Highland Park and went even further and identified Democrats who had expressed support for Black Lives Matter, who were white, on social media. So they really they narrowly tailored this. They're like, we need to hit, these are the allies. They need to help. That's what they did.
Now, I will tell you, and because of that, because of the specificity of it, and because it reads like a dream to the other side, if you will, I always wonder if it's a psyops type of thing, or, I question it. So we have some pushback from, of course, an authoritative place, Tumblr. So take of it what you will.
Wait,
but I will tell you,
is it safe to scroll through this, or are there like nude anime drawings on this page? I mean, if this is from
I'm
Tumblr.
not getting into the genders of Tumblr on this one. I do not know. I am not sure where they are on whichever spectrum, but they're saying no. And honestly, look, I could actually see that being a 4chan prank. Couldn't you? I mean, it's so perfect.
It is perfect, but it's also not out of the question for BLM. Like it's actually 100% within the character of some of these movements, because they'll take the most extreme position. They'll say, look, just because you supported a charity, you didn't do enough. Just because you did this. And the hardest part, it's discerning the fake rhetoric from the real rhetoric when BLM, because the real rhetoric is that ludicrous. It is that far into the ideology that they will take the message and they'll say, look, these people are supporting us, but that's not enough. We need them to go ahead and make room for the next generation, the right generation. And they'll do it. And so I don't know. It could be fake. I agree with the message, though. Ultimately, I think I'm 100% with it.
Well, cool. I absolutely am too, but I don't know. I always want to put it out there that it is possible that it's a scam. I mean, it is a very wonderful thing. And I will take the material. Thank you very much. Now we need to flip to the other side of the equation, of course, and we need to talk about have a New York Times reporter and Trump supporters to be called the enemies of the state, or at least for a minute. Now, I have a question for you, though. Is this actually an upgrade from deplorables?
Yeah, because I mean, I think, well, you know what? I think I agree. I think right now there are many, many Trump supporters who would consider themselves enemies of the state, not in the legal sense, not anything like that, but definitely opposed to statism in general, and also opposed to the mechanisms by which, let me word this in the most careful way I can, the mechanisms by which we find ourselves in our current political situation and climate. There are people who do not believe the state is operating as it should. And so I think there are certainly people who are opposed to that in a very real sense. Now, of course, they mean enemy of the state in an inflammatory way.
Oh, of course. Kind of like conspiracy theory. I mean, conspiracy theory is a loaded term. Now, technically, sometimes conspiracy theory could be seen as news minus 2 years.
Right. Yeah. Actually, a lot of times that's kind of what happens. Heck, we had news minus 4 years in the 2020 election, right? We had all sorts of talk about just how badly our election system was compromised in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2020, we found out that that was all conspiracy theory and that it's the most secure system that's ever been devised. And so that was like this sort of opposite way that it could go, but it can go the other way too, where we find out that yes, Jeffrey Epstein is running a horrific operation, right? Like that there is actually a cabal. Or my favorite is the Time Magazine article about the election. Yeah, where they said there is an elite cabal of
they used the word cabal.
An elite cabal of high power media people who are well connected, who determined how reporting on this event was going to go, and they flat out said
fortified. Yes, Mellow Cat. Yes,
fortified.
I love that.
Comes from the French for F-O-R-T, which means strong, strengthened. That's what it is.
Yes, of course. And by the way, while we're on conspiracy theories, I'm going to hijack the conversation and talk about other stuff. But tomorrow I have America's Untold Stories with Mark Robert again. First episode was the CIA in film. Second episode was the CIA in media. For everybody who wants to catch up, tomorrow's episode is Family of the CIA. Now, this is all getting very relevant because I also have next week coming on Michael Levine, who is the most decorated DEA agent in history, who cracked open all of the CIA drug running that was going on in the 80s that led to the story Dark Alliance by Gary Webb. Remember Two to the Head Gary Webb? Everybody, you might know that. He managed to suicide himself, like a la Epstein and McAfee, potentially, by shooting himself in the head twice.
Look, if you don't get it the first time, you got to go through with it and finish. You can't be a quitter at that point.
Exactly. I mean, when the first bullet hits, definitely do a second to make sure. Now, don't worry about Mike Bruno. Now, I'm bringing this up because Mark Robert, we have some stuff coming up. He wrote a treatment. First off, he wrote with Oliver Stone the whole Kennedy story, a 10-part miniseries, Lee Harvey Oswald. But he's also done a Bobby Kennedy or Robert F. Kennedy assassination treatment that we will be going over. This involves Sirhan Sirhan. Sirhan Sirhan is up for parole, and Mark will be at the parole hearing and involved with that. I think he may even be speaking. I don't know for sure. I think he's going to try to attend. I don't know the deal. But I had a question for you on this, Nick.
Ooh.
And that's about parole. And I had heard something I don't know the actual law, but there is some very extreme doubts whether Sirhan Sirhan actually committed the crime. And I mean, not light doubts. I mean, this is like widespread enough that I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has said that it was not Sirhan Sirhan.
Gotcha.
The only living witness who also was shot has said it is not Sirhan Sirhan. So, I mean, it's not like obviously every conspiracy theory out there, whatever.
Right.
My question is this, though. In a parole hearing, I've heard that innocence is irrelevant. whether somebody gets a parole, it actually could be a bad thing. That a parole hearing is, have you learned your lesson and are you ready to go out?
Yep. that's
And
the
you
long
will
and short of
elucidate.
it. Right. That's the long and short. Sometimes, most famous recent case on this is Bill Cosby, who rejected parole. He rejected parole because it would have required an admission to what he had done. And Bill Cosby maintained his innocence throughout that and was eventually vindicated on his appeal, right? That the at least the conduction of his trial was not done properly, and they could not reach a guilty verdict properly while respecting his due process rights. But Bill Cosby could have been out of prison sooner on parole if he had, theoretically, if he had accepted responsibility for his actions and done that. But he chose not to do so. And so, the maintaining your innocence can certainly doesn't help your parole chances in that regard, because the idea is if you believe that you did nothing wrong when the state has found that you definitely did, then you're the incorrect one at that point. So
it just sounds, I mean, is it me who sees this as just bonkers, or is it just one of these, like, the laws are writing yourself into a corner type of problems?
Yeah, I mean, it is very much writing yourself into a corner. I mean, I can, all of the laws around like incarceration and parole are very, very strange when you get down to them. It's because we've built a system that frankly isn't very good at what it's supposed to do. This idea that incarceration is supposed to be a deterrent, is supposed to reduce recidivism and to get people back on track with their lives, when it tends to be the opposite in most of those categories. It's not an effective deterrent for the most part. Incarceration doesn't seem to be stopping people from committing crimes or being convicted of them. And then it's not very good at rehabilitation and life correction, because if you go into prison with a felony charge, you come out with a felony charge, and that's going to stick with you forever. That's going to prevent your rental options. It's going to prevent you from getting certain many jobs. And it's also just going to carry with you a social stigma, not to mention you're going to lose a couple of your rights, maybe forever. So all of that stuff is, we've got a prison system that's not very good at what it's supposed to be doing. And then we just kind of hammer on it and try and pound out dents. But in the meanwhile, we make new ones all over the place. So it is very backwards. And to give you an idea about this, just very briefly, I represented a guy who's not my client. I stood in for the guilty plea hearing. Okay. This guy was accused of and convicted of and admitted to a very, very terrible crime. But if he had gone to trial on this thing, he was facing about 60 years in prison. With his plea deal, he was going to do 12 to 14. And so he went into the plea hearing, and we made very clear that we were not doing something called an outward plea or a no contest, a nolo contendere plea. That's where you admit that you are probably guilty, that they have the facts to prove you guilty, but you don't know the facts because of whatever, maybe an altered state of mind. You can't actually attest to them. Now, this person was on so many psychoactive pharmaceuticals that were all prescribed by licensed physicians. They were legally taken. However, there was maybe some question as to if those physicians were aware of the other medicines that were involved. So there are different physicians prescribing things, maybe without knowledge. So who knows about that? Either way, this person basically had no concept of what was going on. And this is a sex-based crime. And the judge is actually yelling at this person while they're confessing and laying out the factual basis and trying to accept guilt for what they've done, because they didn't remember enough of the crime. And the judge says, I am not taking, because he thought this guy was trying to mitigate what he did, even though he said over and over that he wasn't. And he's like, I just can't. And we're talking very minor details. Were you wearing pajamas or boxer shorts? I don't remember. The guy's basically comatose when he sleeps. I don't remember what I was wearing. I don't know. And judge is like, you can't do this, because he thought the guy was going to then try and maintain some sort of thing. And I don't know, try and win on appeal on this. It was not going to happen. I mean, this guy was guilty, lots of DNA. So anyway, but the judge said, I'm not going to let him do this, because part of rehabilitation for sex offenders is to admit first what they've done. He cannot go into prison maintaining that he didn't know what he did and then somehow admit that what he did was wrong later, which is absolutely a ludicrous assertion from a judge. But these are the types of people.
Wouldn't that be prison, that over time you learn what you did, you come to accept it, and then you learn your lesson, you straighten it out, and you're ready to re-enter society? Isn't that the theory?
He's also sitting there saying, what I did was wrong. What he's saying, he's like, I just don't remember exactly all of the details of what occurred, because I can't.
What if he was drunk?
I mean, he was effectively way worse off than that.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, with the judge question, if he was like so drunk and drove a car or whatever, and something terrible happened and he was passed out, what?
My favorite line from the judge is, he says, I'm not aware of any substance on earth where someone could take it and then not remember the horrible things that they did. I was like, have you heard of Ambien, you weirdo?
Have you heard of booze?
Yes.
Good Lord.
This, yeah. And, yeah. Speaking of, I need a refill. But no, this is a nasty one. Someone says you stepped in, you stood in, you represented. Not really. Like literally my job was to get the factual. That's like, I examined him. I did the examination so that he could lay out a factual basis. Because in Minnesota, when you plead guilty to a felony, you have to then tell the court a sufficient factual basis for them to find you guilty. So you have to admit to what you've done factually, not just say, yeah, I stole the money. You have to go into when you took the money, where, how, by what means you got it, et cetera, et cetera. So, so yeah, no, he never retained me. They never paid me. So
lovely. Ketamine. That's another good one.
Yeah. Ketamine.
Yeah. It's like, hey, ask Bill Cosby's victims if they might know of anything that could make them not remember.
Yeah. Apparently Benadryl, right?
Yeah. There's that too. I mean, ton of stuff. Wow. Scopolamine. I don't know about my audience. They're very quick with this.
Yeah, they seem to have an extensive psychoactive drug knowledge.
Yeah, it's maybe I should look into that.
Look,
I don't know.
Exactly 3.5 Percocet, 1 Vicodin, and 2 Valium. No. Blend it up and snort that powder. It's perfect.
Old school tequila. There you go. All right. So speaking of, I will judge here. I love irony. California has got a lot of green regulations. Well, guess what? If you want a high-powered PC or server, and I work in the IT world, servers use a ton of energy.
Mm-hmm.
High-power PCs are probably drawing more than anything in your house.
I have a 1,500 watt power supply in my PC.
There you go. There you go. So everything else is going down. Your computers are going out. And if you close the door, your office will turn into a heat zone, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's horrifying. I just called the AC place about getting an AC put into this room specifically.
Well, there you go. Perfect. And so that's going to bring some more energy draw to the world. So
I'm going to go buy another power supply for a second computer, but not hook it up to anything. I'm just going to run it.
Oh, there you go.
Just gonna, in honor of California.
I think you should. And this reminds me because you have I forgot the name of the bill that they passed. Remember about you can't be a Uber driver or you can't be a contractor. They have to hire you as an employee.
Right.
So then all the independent editors got fired.
Yes.
In California, the same ones who are voting for it. Now suddenly they were out on their ass because, sorry, you're an independent contractor. Sucks to be you. So I don't know. I laugh sometimes about karma. Maybe I'm bad.
It's So it's an interesting thing. The distinction right now is there are a couple very high end PCs that won't ship to several states, but there are distinctions to be made here. They're not banned. So if you were to get those PCs in a different state or delivered somewhere else and
Or
then
build your
brought
own.
them in, or build your own, you can do that too. And it has to do with energy standards on chipsets that are in use, particularly, I believe, the newest generation of Intel chip, which has, it's like I don't understand enough of the technical aspect of it, but it's like a certain power draw per bit of something. But yeah, right now, Alienware, which is a subsidiary of Dell, which also, by the way, ruined Alienware, which was a fantastic company until Dell stepped in. They're one of the most high profile, high-end gaming machine companies on the planet, or in the US at least. Them, like Falcon Northwest, some other ones, but not too many. And they will not ship certain machines to these states. They won't do it.
Good. I think that's great.
Cannot. Go ask your brother. Go ask your brother, please.
Now, I think you covered this next story in a video about Twitter is suspending accounts dealing with election audits.
Yeah. Hey, 1 second.
Yes, sir. All right. Ha. Good question. Yes. I'm pretty sure that Greyhound does go to California. And Alienware to Dell is like Blizzard and Activision. No kidding. Let's see. Go through the chat here. Well, Right to Repair is actually going through right now. And maybe this will actually help things because, there's been a war on anybody who's trying to repair their computer, trying to build their computer, anything else. Maybe this will be a bit of a revival for people building their own systems. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? And he is back.
Sorry about that. Got an almost 4-year-old who wanted something, despite there being 6 other people in the house who could get them the thing. I'm like, go ask literally anybody else.
Yeah, but then you'll spend more time fighting about having to ask something else than just giving up and doing it. Is that the
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But okay, yes. So back to this is a great story. Twitter has suspended several accounts that were focused specifically on the Maricopa audits, including the official account of the audit itself. So like which I think is that top left one there, the Maricopa, Arizona audit. I mean, these are, these are accounts that are where people who are looking for information about the subject could go and get the most up-to-date stuff. And that just puts Twitter directly in line with where YouTube has been on this. Several of my friends, well, I guess 2 of my friends, Doug TeNapel and Q from Out of the Darkness, both personal friends of mine, have had their YouTube channels deleted, I think 5 to 6 times each now, over the audits. And it all followed a Media Matters hit piece on their channel. But they're not the only ones. Also a guy named Beheezy, along with some other people who, what they primarily covered on their channels were audit news, and they were removed for that. And now Twitter is following suit, removing these things. It's amazing to me. Like they're Streisanding this thing as hard as they possibly can.
I don't know. I mean, I cannot help it. I'm wondering if Jen, Psaki and whatnot are actually doing a favor. That it's getting to the point where, oh, you jerks. I gotta dance around my paywall situation. Let me change browsers. Anyway, I wonder if she's, actually helping things out a little bit because she's saying the quiet part out loud. Like literally, hey, throw everybody off. We want you to do that. And I know you've had an argument with Nate about that. I think you wound
We
up
had a
agreeing in the end.
let's be clear. I wound up winning that argument. That's what
okay,
happened.
so you agreed that you won.
We agreed that I was correct. No, so it was, I like making a joke out of the argument because from the outside, arguments can always look more heated than they are. Nate and I had a nice conversation about it. And then it turns out we were talking past each other on the issue, as often is the case. But I was trying to point out that there's all sorts of jurisprudence on something called a chilling effect on the First Amendment. And that's where the government creates a situation in where it becomes unpalatable for a person to exercise their First Amendment rights. They don't make it illegal. There's not necessarily punishments for it. And one of the cases for this that I mentioned was a case involving the Postmaster General, who passed a rule which would require anyone receiving socialist materials in the late 60s and early 70s, they could receive these socialist pamphlets, but they had to come into the post office and sign their name down, right? And take personal receipt of them. And
who was their senator?
Who was there? What?
Who was the senator of this state that this happened?
I know this is the Postmaster General of the United States.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a state thing.
No, this was a federal thing. So every post office, you had to go in and sign your name but you were free to get your information. You just had to tell the government you were collecting socialist materials. And so the courts come in, they say, yeah, you know what? That's a chilling effect, because now people who would otherwise, maybe take a look at this material are not going to do it because the government's literally having them put themselves on a list. And so that became a chilling effect. So my argument was that by the government making calls to Twitter or Facebook to remove people's speech, and people knowing that the government is doing that, that puts a chilling effect, because now, like Jen Psaki has admitted, there are, she says very specifically 12. I think there's a lot more, but 12 Facebook accounts. We know for a fact that those 12 Facebook accounts are being watched. Everything they post by the government is being logged and cataloged. And so and notice they don't say which 12. So now people are going, am I on the 12? Am I on the 12? Am I one of those people? I talk about vaccine stuff. I don't know. So now there's a chilling effect. Do you want the government monitoring your Facebook, or do you maybe just not post the things on Facebook? You curb your right to free speech. And so Nate agreed that could be a chilling effect, and that is an improper thing. This is, but what they're doing now is it's getting crazy. I mean, Trump has a lawsuit on this. Frankly, I don't think Trump's lawsuit on this is hitting on the right cylinders, and a lot of lawyers looking at it agree. But there is another lawsuit on this. It's being pushed by Harmeet Dillon and Ron Coleman. They're the people who represented James Damore in the Google lawsuit. Very, very good law firm, very accomplished lawyers. And
yeah, you like the way you write suits, right? Especially with Gavin McInnes.
Yep.
That one?
It's a great lawsuit. It's wonderful. I got to go back and reread it. But no, they are really, I hope I'm wrong on that. Like, I hope that I'm wrong on the Gavin lawsuit. But that being said, I like their theory in their California state lawsuit much better. They don't go with the Facebook or Twitter's a state actor thing. I think that's a claim that they're just no one's going to win on that. But they do go after the fact that the state is demanding these things, and that state demand is improper, and that when the businesses take on this stuff, they're actually violating their own terms of service, and they're violating consumer protection acts in California. So they're kind of paving the way. And I've been suggesting, just in my little sphere, that the consumer protection acts in some of these states, California, Texas,
GDPR and shit. You're saying you can use GDPR and that type of thing against them? Is that kind of what they're doing a little bit? I mean,
similar,
but
yeah, not the privacy regulations. Like GDPR is, like that's a UK privacy regulation,
right. It's COPPA in the States,
right? But it's not COPPA they're going after. It's the commercial trade regulations, deceptive practices, Stuff like that. And my idea on it is simple. So you allegedly have this terms of service that says that a social media company can kick you off for whatever, but we forget that terms of services are actually binding contracts on the issuing party. So social media is promising that if you don't violate their terms of service, that you have a right, like they're promising you the access to the platform. Now, if that promise is what we call an illusory promise, if it's not real because they have unilateral decision making with no recourse, then you don't have a terms of service. And if you don't have a terms of service, you might have something like a public accommodation, you might have something like a common carrier or a telegram or whatever.
Nacho Kitty, you said that you have the report of the 12. I think you're on my locals. If so, can you please post that on the locals?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I would really, really, really appreciate that very much.
And
yes, Allison, you are looking rough. I'm sorry.
Look, it's what happens at a certain age, and it was a 1-day transition to this.
I know you have a child, and geez, good Lord, I don't know don't know what to think. All right, so
switch from wine to whiskey, and this is what happens.
Well, I definitely am high on the wine with an H. Next story is interesting because while we're very concerned about people who are, shall we say, in the wrong message or certain accounts, here's the Justice Department doesn't really give a shit about foreign state actors.
No.
Who actually are potentially committing espionage here, blatantly, clearly. Go figure. Go figure. So, have you read up on this? Because it's really quiet. Haven't seen a lot of headlines on this.
I have not read up on this, so I don't know the story. But I will suggest this. My national security professor in law school is former general counsel for the CIA. He was he's a nationally renowned expert on the drone programs, both admitted and unadmitted by the U.S. government. And he has a whole bunch of great publications on SSRN that all end with "Before Obama Kills You." Very interesting guy. Very interesting guy. John Radson is his name. And he talked about espionage in this way. Every world power recognizes and knows of all of the espionage going on at any moment. And when the news exposes it, it's always just, it's a wink, a nod, a handshake, an exchange of something behind closed doors. And then, they all go on espionaging each other, more and more. That's just how that's his very cynical way of looking at it.
Guy as a guest, man.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. He's really interesting, but I mean, you can find him quoted in New York Times, LA Times, anytime. When Obama and Bush were heavy into droning everybody to death, he was all over them. But he's fantastic. My favorite professor by far. Very interesting guy, and yeah. I would recommend looking him up. John Radson.
All right, that leads in Nacho Kitty. I know you might have posted on Viva Bars Law. Please post it on Unstructured Locals too. I appreciate it. I don't mind it being repeated. I'll take it. I'll take leftovers. What a weird coincidence, though. So at the same time, we're saying, we're not worried about those, potential spies in our midst, or paying off university professors and all that. We're going to hire Tony Podesta for Huawei, which is a notorious company accused of allegedly being literally an extension of the Chinese army.
Allegedly definitely is.
Well, we're doing the Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
Quite literally, allegedly.
Quite definitely, literally is allegedly part of the Chinese military.
Now,
yeah. No, I think it's great. Yeah. I love the Podesta brothers. the pasta and pizza men, they can just go ahead and they can do it all day. I guess that's the way to go.
Well, maybe there's another board seat available for somebody that they could be negotiating. I don't know, have a barista.
I want one of these cushy foreign deals where I get like 600 grand a year. Like, how do I swing that? Like, how many, does my dad need to be president, vice president? What do I need to get him to? How high up in government do I need to get my dad? Like, Dad, I know you like Florida, but I really need you to go ahead and I need you to get into government right away so I can get a cushy job somewhere. Yeah.
At least for a minute. Yeah. I mean, screw a trust fund. I mean, this is like the new trust fund baby, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's it. The sort of the legacy hires for political favors. That's the way to do it. And you make a ton of money. They make beautiful salaries, tremendous salaries, wonderful salaries. Fantastic. Bigger than any salaries you've ever seen. And they do that. They don't do anything. They're barely even in the foreign country they're hired for. And they just, hang out on a yacht or whatever and make a bunch of cash. I want to do this.
All right,
I want in.
I do too. Here's something in the chat. I haven't heard this. Is there a case about someone who got away with murder when Kim Gardner was a no-show for the trial?
Yes.
What?
There's a murder trial going on. Kim Gardner's office. Well, not anymore. It was just dismissed probably 2 weeks ago.
Kim Gardner who went after the McCluskeys?
Yep. And no one from the prosecutor's office showed up for court. They just didn't show up. That's the meme, right? About a speeding ticket. Like, oh, get a court date for your speeding ticket because maybe the officer or whatever won't show up or the prosecutor will just go, whatever.
Now it's true.
That happened with a murder case.
Good Lord.
Just don't show up. It's fine. Who needs to prosecute?
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Yeah. That office, that attorney's office is a shame. It's a shame on the state of Missouri. It's a shame on the nation.
You're giving it one too many letters.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
They would never miss a McCloskey hearing, by the way. There's no way on earth that Kim Gardner's office is going to miss a McCloskey hearing, but they'll miss a murder hearing. No big deal.
No, I mean, well, they've got to worry about dangerous people. All right. So while we're at, shall we say, lack of prosecution and our Justice Department that's working overtime, I'm happy to report, everybody, our favorite Italian governor is safe. Not a lot of press on this one either. Are fine. And by the way, and Nick, you've been on panels with me, and how long have I been arguing that the reason the shall we say harassment charges were being used against him were just because of this, that this was going to go nowhere?
Yep.
Because the press has held him up like a saint. They were celebrating him. They wanted him to be president. He and who's that lawyer in California that just got put away that blackmailed Nike?
Avenatti.
Yes. Avenatti, yeah. Another fine presidential candidate that they were pushing. They could not pursue this or let this be pursued because they would look guilty. They were holding it up. And I know that Viva was arguing against me about it, but what say you? Am I right on this?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's no think about the implication. This guy basically was symbiotic with the CDC and recommendations, right? Like he's being vaunted as the governor who did all of the right things. He gets an Emmy. He's written books about it. Well, someone wrote a book for him.
Emmy to be an editing. I forget where I heard that, but yes, Emmy should be an editing.
Yeah. And so then suddenly, it turns out, well, New York's not really complying with the mandatory reporting around this stuff. It's like, well, but he did really good though. It's like, New York has like the highest death rate of any state, and especially in their nursing homes. Like, but Cuomo was good. He was doing great. We told everybody that he did the right thing. How on earth can we take a contrary position now? So yeah, that's I think you're 100% correct. There was no way they could, because all of the media's currency is the perception of credibility to the majority. That's what it is. That they will sacrifice money, they will sacrifice everything, and they know that they've been burning that credibility for about the past 15 years, a lot heavier than they had before. They're still relying on the time before the internet, when they built up credibility as the only places you could go for reliable information. That's why you hear terms like fake news. That's why you hear terms about credible journalists or verified journalists or credible reporting, all of those things. None of that existed 150 years ago, by the way. What we used to do was a wild, wild west of publications. You had to build trust. It's what YouTube actually was.
Yellow journalism. We had yellow
Right.
journalists. We had fights between, actually it's so ironic because we have an award called the Pulitzer, but
Yeah.
Joseph Pulitzer and Randolph Hearst fought each other tooth and nail, and they were both muckrakers from hell.
Yeah.
So
They were just the best at it.
yeah, I mean, but also another thing happened over time. Ryan Holiday, I've always plugged this book, but Trust Me, I'm Lying is fantastic. It goes through all of this history, and I've read it elsewhere too, but essentially there used to be two papers in almost every city, and you see it now with like Boston Globe and Boston whatever, Washington Post, Washington Times, and so you would have opposing publications, and then people could get them both and kind of get their opinion. But over time, in consolidation, there became one paper for every city, so they were faking at it and playing the whole, we were going to write with clarity and be very neutral.
Right.
And Matt Tiabi also talked about it too, that some of this, Boston Herald, thank you, sorry, that there was an advertising campaign where they were hiring somebody who was actually very, very political, and the company who was paying for the advertising said, no, we don't want that. We want you to be straight down the middle, because we want our products to be sold to the widest possible audience. And that set the template for, like the next 70, 80 years. So we're just going right back to what we had before.
We're on our way back, but the media is holding on to as hard as they can to this past 5 decades, basically. Yeah, this dying model. But what we're going to is better. You get to, as long as there isn't, this is why YouTube censorship and stuff like that is such a problem, is because you are supposed to be the person who determines who you trust. You are like, if you believe Alex Jones, if you want to trust Alex Jones, if you want to trust Joe Rogan, if you want to trust Rachel Maddow, you're supposed to go, I identify with this person. They have credibility with me. They were right on this and this and this. I have expertise in this field. They've reported on it favorably. Whatever it is that gets your attention, that's what it used to be. But yeah, they consolidated one major paper for every city. And then they further consolidated to, there's 5 news wires that exist total. You got like Fox, you've got Reuters, you've got AP, CNN, and maybe one other. I don't even know. And that's it. So all of these news agencies are reproducing the same from the same 5 news wires, who all have nice, very gentlemanly agreements to not compete in those spaces too. So you get, everybody's story comes from Reuters, or everybody's story comes from AP in legacy media,
who are spitting it up to both. All right. So now, if people don't believe that what I was saying about Como, here's more proof to substantiate. You don't care about Michigan. Huh? What? No. Okay, but we would care. Oh, wait. We don't care about Pennsylvania either. Fascinating.
Older voters skew Republican.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody might have done
You eliminated a lot of them. You got rid of a whole lot of them in the nursing homes. It's almost like if you could target a nuke at a political city, they did with COVID by putting COVID patients into nursing homes and killing a predominantly older generation of people who are notably less liberal. It's amazing how effective that is.
Well,
And
that's perfect. So,
well,
I
and
like to end on a dark note.
well, the best part, let me lighten it up. Let me lighten it up a little bit, okay, with this. The best part about killing a bunch of Republicans in nursing homes across the country is that it doesn't actually take that many votes to swing a swing state. So when you kill off like 10,000 or 15,000 of one party in Michigan or whatever, that literally swings the entire state. So that's the good news about it right there. That's to just brighten it up right at the right at the
There we
end.
go. Okay. Well, yes, that happy note. Wow. And I just want to let everybody know I will be checking in on locals chat after this to, hopefully talk to whoever's still there. And it's just very, very difficult to control both of these. And many, many, many of these stories were all suggested on unstructured.locals.com. So I will be trying to put up the News with Booze post a couple days ahead, like I just did this week. And that gives everybody a chance to put in the stories. And I deeply, deeply appreciate it. That really helped a ton. And so everybody check out unstructured.locals.com, rekietalaw.locals.com, AlisonMorrow.locals.com. And as I've said a bunch of times before, you don't necessarily, if you can't pay for it, I understand there's still a lot of content that is free for you, but it helps us out a great deal because it gives good bottom line numbers and it gives us a way to get a hold of you should our channel get nuked or something else happens. At least we can get the word out and get some kind of message. So for now, Nick, thank you so much, man.
My pleasure, buddy.
And everybody, if you like this, consider subscribing. It is the blah, blah, blah.
Don't consider it.
Obviously,
Just do it. Just do it. Like Nike. Just do it.
Yes, just do it. Just definitely do it. And oh, that's right. I have an outro.